Good evening. A public inquiry began today into a contaminated blood scandal which left a 9-year-old Bristol girl orphaned. Lauren Palmer's parents died in 1993 after her father Stephen was given blood infected with HIV and hepatitis C.
Well, he unwittingly infected Lauren's mother, Barbara. The couple died within 8 days of each other. Over 7,000 other patients were also treated with contaminated blood in the 1970s and 80s, one of the worst scandals to ever hit the NHS. Robert Murphy has this report.
As Lauren Palmer arrived at today's hearing, she had foremost in her mind the memories of her parents who died a quarter of a century ago.
We just want to uncover the truth and have some accountability for what actually happened and some justice.
Stephen and Barbara Palmer from Bristol were two of the nearly 3,000 people who died in the contaminated blood scandal. They would not live to see their baby daughter grow to adulthood. Stephen had a condition called haemophilia. His blood would not clot, so he was given a treatment called Factor VIII, which is made from donated blood. In the 1970s and 80s, the NHS imported Factor VIII from the USA. The makers sourced some of the blood from prisoners and sex workers, which was infected. Stephen contracted HIV and hepatitis C and infected Barbara. They died within days of each other when Lauren was just 9 years old.
It's just completely destroyed our family as it was, it's taken many years of suffering and piecing back our lives together, and still to this day we're still having to live with this, and hopefully now we can put some of it behind us.
4,670 people contracted hepatitis C, 1,243 were contaminated with HIV. The public inquiry is headed by Sir Brian Langstaff. It's due to last 2 years, but it's taken many decades to get to this stage.
What it means, it's the answer to a campaign which has gone on for 30 or 40 years. It means that finally it is hoped that the victims will find answers to the questions which they've been asking for those 30 or 40 years. It's been a long struggle, and they do believe that now is the time when those answers will be provided.
I want to continue the fight for my mum, because I know that it was my mum's dying wish that she wanted some kind of justice for our family and what we were going to have to go through. So I'm holding the torch for her.
The risk of contaminated blood was reduced in the late 1990s when better checks and synthetic products became available. But what happened in the decades before? Who knew the risks? And was there a cover-up? Questions the inquiry will ask over the coming months and years.
Well, Robert joins us in the studio now. Robert, a terribly sad story there. When does the inquiry actually start hearing evidence?
Well, this is the biggest public inquiry in British history. Take the Grenfell inquiry, the child sexual abuse inquiry, add them together, still not as big as this inquiry. So it's going to take some time. At the minute, they're collecting written evidence. They're going to start hearing from people in the new year, after Easter, in fact, next year. Now, there have been inquiries into this before, but this is the first that's had the teeth to compel people to give evidence. So we may well hear from former health secretaries, perhaps even from John Major, the former Prime Minister, as well. And it's due to last some 2 years. Now, this has been described as the biggest scandal in the NHS's history, and because of that, it's prompted the biggest ever investigation too.
Robert Murphy, thank you for joining us in the studio this evening.